The Disrupt Education vlog can be found on YouTube. To hear it in podcast form, search Disrupt Education on any of the following podcast platforms: Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Castbox, Overcast, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Spotify, or Stitcher. Welcome to this episode of Disrupt Education. Today I have a very special guest, Sivan Kailash. See, I threw the French pronunciation there. And the founder of Holberton School. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Sivan?
Yeah, thanks, Peter. So I used to be a software engineer. I did a master in software engineering. I used to work for SlideShare, which is like YouTube for PowerPoint. It was a small startup where we are 30 employees, a little bit more, and we got acquired by LinkedIn after I was more than a year with them. I worked for LinkedIn for 3 years in San Francisco, and as any tech company, we are struggling to find talent, and we would interview a lot of junior candidates coming out of college, who had spent like half a decade of their life studying. They were all in debt. They all looked like me, kind of like white dude with a beard.
Yeah.
And we noticed that they were not necessarily prepared to take on a job. They knew things, but that were either obsolete or like a lot of theory, but not a lot of like the actual skills that you need to be a software engineer. And so, we realized that, and we were like, okay, like the default way to become a software engineer is very long, it's very expensive, it only serves a fraction of American people, and it doesn't work very well, right? So we decided to come up with a new type of education that comes from progressive education. That's something that was created at the end of 19th century, and that advocates for like, hey, Peter, like, don't just learn something for the sake of memorizing it, but learn something that you can make something out of it. And very importantly, develop your problem-solving skills, creativity, social skills, and most importantly, learn how to learn, right? Like become a lifelong self-learner. And so based on this, we created Holberton School. It's an alternative to college program where we train software engineers with a very different take on education. So we have no formal teachers, no formal lectures. Students learn by working on projects and collaborating. And then the idea is that as a group, you go together towards the goal. And then, there are like knowledge facilitators on site to engineers who are here to support you if ever you cannot find the solution, by yourself and with the group. But the idea is to mimic what's in the workplace, right? Like, when I was working at LinkedIn, right, I was paid to solve problems, right? Yeah. So it's kind of, you flip education, right? In regular education, we give you the solution, memorize it, because in 2 weeks you have the exam, right? But in the real life, we give you the exam, right? And we pay you to solve it, right? So at Holberton, we do something similar. We give students the problem, and then they have to find the solution. And we are here to support their learning, right? But as much as they can, they should be the one owning their learning, right? And getting to get themselves. So yeah, we started this 3 years ago, and it's been going amazing since then.
Yes, excellent. And so your path, you worked at LinkedIn. How did you get from basic schooling to that? And then what was it inside? Obviously, you saw at LinkedIn that, okay, this is the way I was taught how to do things, and you figured it out. What gave you the idea to actually create this?
So I went through, I would say, a regular type of education, a lot of lectures, time interaction with teachers. And I realized that where I learned the most was on the job, through internship or job. And at LinkedIn, SlideShare, I grew a lot as a professional, in actually less time that I spent at school. Right, like I spent 5 years, half a decade in school, right? Coming from the French background, it's 5 years, not 4 years. Generally, that people do, but it's the same for 4 years. In the US, like you are there, and like I usually use this example let's say you want to bake bread, right? You can read all the books about how to bake bread, right? You can listen to the best baker. I can tell you that the first bread you are going to bake is probably not going to taste amazing, right? But then you're like, oh, I needed water or more salt, and you practice your craft, right? Software engineering is the same. It's by practicing that you become good at it. And that's, what I understood at LinkedIn. And one thing also I realized is that being a great software engineer and by extension a great professional is not only about knowing a tool, that we learn and applying it. It's not only about that. Like, it's really about problem solving, critical thinking, and also how can you be part of a thing that's bigger than you, and that means collaborating with your peers, right? So it means, being great at communication, whether it's exchanging ideas, being able to ask the right question, right? When you get in seniority, I became a senior at LinkedIn, and like onboarding newcomers, empowering more juniors to do their job better. If you do your job well, you are 1x, but if you can help 10 people, you are 10x, right? And then you are really more valuable than just an individual contributor. So I believe that, I discovered at LinkedIn that soft skills are super important, right? Mm-hmm. And you can only develop soft skills when you are interacting with others, right? That's the only way. So that's why, we really believe at Holberton in the value of like offline, right? In-person education, right? Because you get to develop the skills of like working around other people, and that translates in the workplace, right? And actually that translates to the grid if you want to get a promotion. Like, you have hard skill things, but you have also a lot of soft skill things. And when you think about it, like the leader, the manager, they are great at soft skills, like empowering others to do their job and solving issues at a big scale. Mm-hmm. So ultimately, my experience at LinkedIn led me to this: is like, yes, you need to learn tools, but tools are actually constantly changing. So make sure that you can retrain and retool, right? Like, you have this ability to learn by yourself. And the second thing is not only hard skill, but also soft skill, right? And that is something that I developed at LinkedIn, but that in my education, I unfortunately didn't have a chance to develop. And here at Holberton, we have a strong emphasis on that.
Excellent. So, and you also work with, you're in several locations and expanding. And then what kind of companies, what would a Holberton student look like? What does it look like coming into your program? The working and then the internships, because you're working with some big companies as well, some very, very big companies.
We are. So we place ourselves really as training the best software engineer of their generation. And by best software engineer, you mentioned big companies. Like, we have our students and alumni working for Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Apple, Tesla, Pinterest, you name it, like the best companies in Silicon Valley, which probably are the hardest to get in. And so, that requires a lot of work on the student side. Obviously, we are looking for highly motivated individuals, but that's all we care about. So our student population is very broad, from anywhere from 17 to 58. We have people from all sorts of backgrounds, right out of high school, college dropouts. We have master, PhD. We have people who used to be barista, dishwasher, Uber driver, teacher. We are up to marketing or even, hedge fund investors. So really like a wide range of, background. Mm-hmm. And the admission process is actually blind and automated, meaning that there is selection at point, right? It's all based on, are you motivated to become a software engineer, and do you have this profile for this type of education, right? Again, like, you learn by doing, not by like asking for the answer by raising your hand, right? So that can be tough for some people, and it's normal. We don't think that education should be one, type of thing where it takes all the market. Each person learn differently. So yeah, we are looking for individuals who are motivated, and that's it. So we don't care about your GPA or what you did previously in your life or your financial situation. So Holberton School is completely free to students until they find a job. And only if they find a job, then they contribute, share their success back to the school. And then we can invest this money for the next generation of students.
I love that model, because that is Well, I mean, us here in the Midwest, we call that the Uber of college, right? So, and I love the fact that you brought a lot of people from dishwashers to PhDs to everywhere because they're not categorized anymore, right? They are in a sense responsible for their own learning, where somebody has tagged them to be, oh, well, you can't do this because you don't have this degree. Well, that's all gone now, and I think that's what's very, very important about Holberton, and how people are free to basically learn and move forward. And then also to get help from their peers and that teamwork piece. Where do you see Holberton going in the next few years?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we started in San Francisco, about 3 years ago. And from, day zero, we are, with something in mind. The two goals for our students that, we want to use them to achieve is like, first learn a craft that's in demand so that they can find a job right now, right? Like something that they can learn skills and tools that are applicable and that can get them, the six-figure job that, you can get in the industry. The second thing is to make sure that they can get a great career, right? And that means like a lot of this comes from the soft skills, being great, at collaboration and communication and learning how to learn and problem solving, which actually for many students can be very challenging. And actually on Twitter, there were one former student was like, oh, Holberton School is a scam, there is no teacher, and you have to find the answer by yourself. And I was like, oh, I mean, I wanted actually I would like to have a chat with this person. I was like, yeah, it's the whole point actually of our education is that we empower you to own your learning. It's not a scam. But I think, you go through a lot of phases because we have been formatted to be fed the knowledge. And here at Holberton, you learn software engineering and you really learn how to learn, and the whole value is here. And so from day zero, we developed the curriculum with professionals who are working in the industry to make sure that what students are working on and what they are learning is relevant, like today and will be tomorrow. And so, 3 years ago, we started with 30 students. And since then, we've been growing. We moved to a new location in San Francisco that can accommodate several hundreds of students. We keep the great placement result with students working in, many Silicon Valley companies, including, the best that you may think of, like the Apple, the Google, and the LinkedIn of the world. As we grew to make this education that's like virtually kind of accessible to maybe not anyone, but, many American people, we wanted to grow it, to offer this opportunity to more people. That is why we decided to open a campus on the East Coast in New Haven, Connecticut, that's opening on January 28th. But also we believe that this opportunity should be shared to more, and especially in growing economies where a lot of companies are going through digital transformation, or we are startups starting to ramp up, and no strong education system. There is a strong need, to train efficiently at scale, and that is why also we decided to open two schools in Colombia. One is going to be opening on January 28th in Bogota, and one in Medellin this summer. And so, where I see the future of Holberton is ultimately to grow our family, grow our community, offer this model to more people. I think that it's time for postgraduate education to step up and to own, they owe something to their students and need to own, the responsibility. And I believe that ISA income share agreement, where students only pay for their education if they succeed, is something that students will like. It's going to be like a standard, right? Like, right. Why should I pay you for something that didn't work for me, right? I think it makes a lot of sense. And so I think that the, Holberton School, you have like two big things. You have like the different type of education, which I think will grow, and also this accessibility, which I believe will grow as well. So I see Holberton like also being kind of inspiring and you see now more and more alternative education are using these tools. Mm-hmm. And we want to be helping the space to grow as a whole and be part of the growth.
Right. Excellent. Looks like you got a busy January coming with opening up some new places. If somebody is interested in applying for Holberton, where do they go?
So they go on our website, holbertonschool.com, and then there is an application process that is fully online, free, automated, which is also part of the learning experience. So by going through this application process, the candidate will learn how to build their first website. Again, no prior experience in coding or science or whatever required, right? Like there is no such thing. Literally, like so many other of our students, they come to Holberton and they don't know anything about coding. It's basically a great way for the candidate to see, one, is software engineering something that I actually enjoy, right? Like some people, they might, have heard about their, peers making six figures, or, they watch a movie and the person is hiking and like, it's cool. And I think it's cool, right? I used to be a software engineer and so many, and I think what's great with software, it's not only about coding, but you can make big things happen, right? Like if you think about Tesla, they are making, the future of self-driving electric car. If you work for NASA, one of my students got an internship there, you are working towards space exploration, right? If you work for NVIDIA, you are powering, the next generation of AI chips, right? Like it's really big thing. But at the end, like, you need to love the craft of software engineering. So the Holberton School application process will like help you to understand, is this something for me? The second thing is that, is this type of learning for me? Like, these former students were like, oh, I didn't like it. It's a scam because there is no teacher giving me the answer, right? Yes. And actually, that might not be for you, right? And I think it's very important for us and for them, the candidate to understand, is that for me? So by going through the application process, students will get to, mimic kind of what students are doing here. And if they have a blast, well, that's a very good sign that they should join us. But if they don't like it and they want to raise their hand and get the answer, that's probably not for them.
Excellent. You're exactly right. I love it. We appreciate you being here in January on the show, because obviously you're going to be in Connecticut and Bolivia and in Central America area. And that's amazing. I want to thank you so much for hanging out with us today, Sylvain. We look to see a lot more coming with Holberton School, and hopefully we'll see you in the Midwest soon as well, around here in Chicago. So thank you so much. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you on Disrupt Education.